Thank you. Thank you. Julie, that was way too nice. That just makes my heart swell. I want to say a huge thank you to Julie Kohlauer. You know, I know how hard it is to fill tables for events. Julie Kohlauer filled 4 WCV breakfast tables this morning. Let's hear it for Team Kohlauer. So it's true, my wife, Carrie, and I are moving on to a new adventure after we win some elections this November. And we feel comfortable like this because WCV is so strong right now. And it's stronger than ever because this political movement is something that you have all owned and you have made strong. And for that reason, this breakfast is my favorite time of the year, where we all come together and show what a political force the environment is in our state. So together, we are Washington conservation voters, and together we have created this new day for Washington. And we all know this starts with our amazing state board of directors and our amazing staff at WCVs. Please join me in congratulating their hard work and all of their accomplishments. So Washington conservation voters is all of us and thousands of others like us around the state. WCV is people like members Alex Rammel and Isabel Vanderslice in Whatcom County. I bet they've spent every weekend this year working to elect an anti-coal majority on the Whatcom County Council. It's our friends at the Washington Environmental Council, Climate Solutions, FutureWise, the Bike Club, WWRC. It's partners like SEIU 775 and the Seattle Chamber of Commerce. It's leading businesses like Vulcan, Seattle Steam, Skanska, PSC, and Cedar Grove Compost. Look, I could go to every table and every single person in this room and show how you personally are making a difference for Washington's environment and for our people. We all know WCV is the political arm of Washington's environmental movement, and we work to turn our collective values into political priorities for the state. And we believe that we can and will set an example for the rest of our country. Under Governor Jay Inslee's leadership, along with our many, many legislative champions, we're putting Washington in a position to be a leader on clean energy and job creation and innovation. We're moving forward with steps to limit carbon pollution in our state, to build a more sustainable transportation infrastructure, to reduce toxic chemicals that harm our families, and to restore our beloved Puget Sound. We have a wind blowing at our backs in Washington because Washingtonians overwhelmingly support increased environmental protection. We all know this. When Carrie and I moved to Washington 8 years ago, what blew me away was the sense of exceptionalism and optimism we have in the state. We decide to do things and make them happen here, and we take that for granted. That doesn't happen in the rest of the country. But we know these things are only possible if we understand these aren't all policy problems, climate change, Puget Sound. These are actually political problems in our state. And who we elect to public office matters. We should also be clear-eyed about the challenges in front of us with all the good that's happening right now. There is much work that remains. While Governor Inslee and his partners in the legislature are working to move us forward, there are equally strong forces working to push us back in our state. So my message to you this morning, above all else, is that we can't stop now, we can't slow down. While we're making progress, we have 2 major political roadblocks in our state standing directly in our way. The first is a state Senate that is sometimes hostile to increased environmental protection. And the second is the threat of coal exports throughout the Northwest. We're going to talk a lot more about both of those this morning. So we enjoy strong environmental leadership in our State House of Representatives, and we applaud the work of Speaker Frank Chopp, committee chairs, and the many, many members who are environmental champions. The state Senate, however, is a different story. Did you know, for instance, that the current chair of the Senate Environmental Committee where all of our bills have to run through, has a 0% score, 0% environmental score in our scorecard. A couple hisses. You have to work to be 0%. He denies the science of climate change and works literally every week to dismantle our most basic clean energy laws. You know, this past year, the environmental community spent most of our efforts trying to stop rollbacks to our core environmental protections. And thankfully, both the House and the Governor's Office were our strong allies in that effort. And let's be very clear, this is not about partisanship in any way. It's about the environment. We're as committed to a bipartisan strategy as we ever have been at Washington Conservation Voters. Let's say it this way. I am not concerned about convincing people to believe the overwhelming science of climate change. But it is my concern that those same people are not members of the Washington State Senate. Leadership in our state Senate needs to be held accountable for this, and things have to change. Things have to change, and we're going to make sure that they do change together with your help. Washington deserves a pro-environment Senate, and that work starts right now in 2013. Our second focus as an organization right now is the threat of coal exports in the Northwest. If not stopped, companies are currently planning to export millions of tons of dirty coal through ports in Washington, the largest proposed north of Bellingham at Cherry Point in Whatcom County. It is inconceivable to me, and I know you feel exactly the same way, that we allow this to move forward while we're making progress in so many other areas. It just does not add up. And we're going to hear more about that later in the program as well. I'm just going to close now by asking you to think forward 5 years or 10 years. Looking back, what do you want the story to be for our state? On one hand, we have the very real prospect of leading our nation in clean energy and innovation. We can be on the road to restoring Puget Sound and grow our economy in a way that leaves a proud, lasting legacy to our children. On the other hand, of course, we're faced with the very real prospect of years of rollbacks and fighting against rollbacks in the state legislature and allowing Washington to be the leading coal exporter to Asia. I don't know about you, I prefer the first version of that story. And the good news is that we have an opportunity right here, right now, to set our state on the course, on the path that we want to be heading down. Elections this fall in the state Senate in Whatcom County will literally help determine which of these two paths we take as a state. I can't wait to make a difference. I know that you can't either. We truly can make this a new day for Washington. There's one person here I know feels exactly the same way, and that's our 2013 Legislator of the Year, State Senator Kevin Rinker. I'd like to invite Washington Conservation Voters state lobbyist Clifford Traisman to the stage to tell us a little more about Senator Rinker's extraordinary leadership this year.